Well, bakers, I have some exciting news. Knead To Know, the first baking entertainment podcast, is back. After a few years of taking a break, I'm excited to say that we are coming back with brand new episodes. Please join me, Gemma Stafford, and my co-hosts, Ami Shukla and Tiana Cohn, as we count down to new episodes by sharing some of our favorites from the past.
Okay, so we have a bit of cake. We have a few cake topics today, which I'm actually really excited about because they're questions that I don't think we've delved into before. So our first topic on Hot from the Oven is, I saw this article and the title was "Say Goodbye to the Bad Yellow Cake." And I was like, that's an interesting stance to take, but then you think about it. The typical grocery store cake that you get, you're running late, you have to go to a birthday party, whatever. You just get a yellow sheet cake. They're never bad, but they're never great. And this person argued that it's dry, it's rubbery. And I was like, I guess they're right. Can you think back of a delicious yellow cake you've had?
I can.
Oh, well, yes. Okay. You're the exception.
I'm going to let me just tell you, I get what, so often I worked in a bakery when I first moved to the US, and it was the kind of bakery, it was in a casino in Tahoe, so it wasn't
in a casino?
Yeah, in a casino.
Gambling casino? Mm-hmm. A bakery?
Yeah. So it was funny because it was a bakery. It was two casinos.
Okay.
And it was a bakery in one basement of the casino. And we used to put out food. We used to prepare the food for everybody, from Starbucks to the fine dining restaurants,
oh my gosh,
to the buffets, everything. But everybody would get different types of food depending on what the price point was. So the buffet food, where you pay, I think I'm saying buffet weird, but where you pay $15 a head, would get really cheap bread rolls, and they were homemade, but they were made, they weren't great.
Okay.
And the Starbucks, everything that they got was out of frozen packets. We used to make donuts for one restaurant that came out of a box mix, out of a mix, and we used to do cakes that came out of a mix too.
Right. So nothing was from scratch.
Some stuff was for the higher.
Yeah.
So I worked in the bread section. The majority of everything else was pre-made.
Wow.
But for the fine dining restaurants, everything was homemade. So, and I worked in the bread, where the majority of breads for all of the establishments was homemade.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, my point is that they used to use dried mixes for donuts, for cakes, for anything like that, which is pretty. It's low grade. It's not good stuff. You
Probably
mix it.
Stuff I would love. I'm just kidding.
I know. You mix it with water and maybe some eggs and oil, and so it's not great. So lots of times what you get in the grocery store is just a big old bag that said yellow cake mix on it, and somebody behind the doors just mixed it and made it a whole pile of yellow cakes. So that's what you get.
That's what you get. So this is interesting because I'm going to be honest, that's what I get. That's how I make yellow cake a lot of the time. I'm just going to admit that to everyone now. But they were talking about you starting with the creaming method. And I'm sure you've heard of this. But beating the butter and sugar together in an electric mixer until it's fluffy and light, then the eggs, and then the liquids and dry ingredients. And they were saying that if you do it in this exact order, you won't get a rubbery cake. But what exactly what makes a cake rubbery? If someone is trying to avoid a rubbery cake, what should they not do when they're baking?
There's a few. That's a bit general. So I didn't read the article, so I'm just going to say that's a little bit general.
Yeah,
and not from what you told me.
Right.
So rubbery can often be over mixing and beating in flour.
Right.
In the United States, you have something called cake flour, which is a really soft, very finely milled flour that has lower gluten than all-purpose flour. So when you're making something like a yellow cake, you would always use cake flour to get a softer crumb.
Right.
That's one thing that you wouldn't get a tougher cake. It would give you a softer cake.
Good to know.
Cake flour helps. And if you don't have cake flour in your country, you can make some, because we don't have it in Ireland.
Right.
You can make it using all-purpose flour, 1 cup of all-purpose flour, and adding 2 tablespoons of cornstarch.
I love getting all of the behind the scenes, how to make it at home.
Oh yeah, no, I'm full of this stuff.
I love it.
But so here's the thing. For the month of April, for the Academy, where it's all about everything cakes, The first recipe.
This is so perfect.
I know, this is perfect timing.
This is perfect.
So the first recipe we did is we made a yellow cake from scratch.
Okay.
Which you'd think is like a standard cake, but the thing about it is that it's really important to know how to do it right. And I show in that video the reverse creaming
That's
method.
what they're talking about.
No,
Yes,
they're
that's what
talking
we're
about
gonna-
creaming method.
Well, he was saying that's what makes it rubbery, but he said he swears by reverse creaming.
Oh, so okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the creaming method is what you
This
would
is so
normally do
interesting.
in
Okay.
Ireland, which is and in England, and it's a lot of basic cakes, and you don't see it here very often, but it's creaming butter and sugar, eggs, fold in your flour.
I feel like that's how I make
That's
things.
kind of generally like
Yeah.
how I grew up making cakes.
Right.
Reverse creaming method is a little bit different, but it's funny. It's very scientific, and that's why I did it in the academy. It's bizarre. So you mix up all your dry ingredients together first. You add in your butter, which is kind of room temperature, so it's going to easily blend into your flour. And then you add in a little bit of your liquid, and you mix all these together. So you wet all of your flour, and you kind of like beat it. And it kind of it almost like kind of contradicts everything that I've been saying and every baker says for the last few years, which is like, you don't beat in flour. How is this method helping? And what happens is, by doing the butter in with the flour, the dry ingredients first, the butter completely coats the flour, which inhibits the development of gluten. So even though you're mixing it as more than you might normally do, like for a method for making a yellow cake, it ends up being softer. And then you add in on top of that cake flour, things like that, and you end up with a much softer cake.
I have to say, it sounds less stressful to me too.
Did you have any idea I was going to know all that
No,
information about
I'm
reverse
like
creaming
so
method?
thrilled, because my question was, ask Gemma, has she heard of this, and can she walk us through it? So that was perfect.
I will tell you. So I will admit that. So I'm used to the creaming method. That's what I grew up on.
Right.
We're big on Victoria sponge, Madeira cakes, things like that. Those are all done creaming method. Ami, who works with me, told me about the reverse creaming method when we were testing recipes for the academy. She told me about this. She told me the science behind it. I researched it. I looked into it, and it was just like, okay, this is like really interesting.
Genius,
and it's worth doing a class on this. So it was developed, I don't think not that long ago, by oh my gosh, I'm not gonna get her name right now. I'm not gonna say it. It's a very famous the baker who created the baking Bible. I want to say Rosie, but that's not. It's Rosenbaum. My brain is blank right now.
Let me see if I can get it.
And the baking Bible.
Baking
Look that
Bible.
up. It's not. I'm going to say Rosenbaum. Oh shoot! But anyway, she was the one. There you go. That's it.
Yeah, Rose Levy. Oh, Barenbaum.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
if I'm
it.
saying
Rose
that right.
Levy.
Yeah.
She came up with that method, and she is famous. So the cake
Was
Bible.
she in the Great British Bake Off?
She as a judge. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
She's really famous. She was the one who came up with it. And so it's really interesting.
And I think it sounds less stressful, because to me, I hate mixing in the flour and then feeling like I have way too much stuff. So then you get the flour and the butter sort of done first, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that, to me, I want to start with the most overwhelming part, which is always flour for me. So I like it. Quickly, before we move on, let's talk frosting. What is your favorite kind of frosting with the yellow cake, and how would you make that? Because for me, I'm always like, oh, frosting's so easy to make. And then I go to make it, I'm like, this is kind of a lot of work.
So a few things. So yellow cake is relatively new to me. So for me, I like yellow cake with vanilla frosting. And I have, I have had, I've had my fair share of Costco supermarket sheet cakes at 5-year-old birthday parties.
Yeah.
I've had it and I've eaten it. And there's something so there's something I don't know, something about it. You just want more,
Yeah.
But the funny thing that I've only learned recently, and this also goes back to Ami. Ami is a wealth of knowledge. She told me that in the US, so I know yellow cake and white cake are your standard cakes, but in America, a yellow cake is traditional birthday cake is a yellow cake with chocolate frosting.
Yeah.
Which I found so bizarre.
Really? It's
So
the perfect
bizarre.
combo to me.
But yellow cake and chocolate, it just made
But
no
vanilla
sense
on vanilla,
to me.
I'm like, where's
Yeah.
the pizzazz? Where
Well,
are
then
we
you put
getting the
sprinkles on top or
fun,
something. I don't know. I just found it I did not grow up with that. When I was a kid,
Wow.
I ordered a coffee cake for my
A coffee
Yeah, or chocolate cake.
as a child.
We would never get chocolate. We'd never get like a vanilla cake with chocolate frosting. So
Oh my gosh.
this is like all new to me. And Ami told me about it. She said it's a great one to do for the academy. And we also did do it a few weeks ago for George's birthday when he turned 2.
Oh, yeah.
And it was really good. But my preference, because I didn't grow up with chocolate frosting on yellow
White
cake,
cake,
is vanilla frosting.
That is so funny.
Like buttercream.
But I don't know. The creamy frostings to me are like, I love a good artificial can. Like a good...
But they're so
sugary.
they're sugary.
Oh, it's
They're
so bad,
sugar.
which is probably why I love it. And then I'm like, what is it? Because a funfetti is like a vanilla cake, but I'm like, there's something different about funfetti. I don't know what's in it, but it's
The
delicious.
cake or the frosting?
The cake. Well, both are great, but the cake tastes different.
Well, the cake's totally different. But all they do is in the factory, they throw sprinkles into one and not in the other.
It's crazy, but it tastes
so different.
moist.
It's
and
so
like,
much better and it's colorful and it tastes like almondy a little bit and more vanilla and like it's no sprinkle.
I don't like there's no way it's just sprinkles, right?
Funfetti cake is so much better than vanilla
mystery.
cake.
I would say funfetti is like my favorite birthday cake.
Oh, mine too. No, mine too, for sure.
My mom used to make these really fun things, like in classrooms, used to bring in treats for the class. I don't know if they still do that with all the stuff now, but she would take those ice cream cones and she would bake funfetti cake in them and then frost them.
Yeah.
And it's like such a good dessert. Big funfetti fan. Okay, so moving on how we clean up after cooking. I just saw this as like a quick snippet that we can touch upon. I thought it was interesting. They're talking about how you clean cooling racks.
Oh my gosh.
I know. But then someone was like,
Oh my gosh.
but I didn't know it was so debated. Someone was like, you can't put it in the dishwasher. And then someone else mentioned a barkeeper's friend. Have you ever tried that? I love that stuff.
We have it here. I don't use it that often. I'll tell you, I'm going to tell you something in complete confidence.
Okay.
That I don't want you to repeat. I don't wash my cooling racks.
Gemma, what?
I don't wash my cooling racks.
But you're baking how much a day?
No, but like they don't get dirty though. I wipe them. I wipe them with a tea towel or something.
Look, I am not judging you because I don't wash them either. But, you know.
I don't know if people really do
people,
wash them.
you guys, now I want to know. Tell us if you wash
There's
your
lots of
baking.
little crevices. So
Well, that's what they were saying. So, like, barkeeper's friend, let them soak. I'm like, I'm going to take up my whole sink to soak. I didn't know it was so hotly debated, this whole thing.
I don't. No, I'm sorry. I just don't wash.
Well,
unless they get dirty, I do wash it. But no.
Hand wash or do you stick it in the water?
No, hand wash.
Yeah.
But like I used one today, put it back in the cupboard, didn't wash it.
I'm with you.
I never do, unless it was covered in chocolate or something. That's the only time I would.
The thing is I'm like, you know when you get straws, like now the metal straws we have, and they have those little pipe cleaners things?
Yeah.
I'm like, that's what you would have to use to get all the crevices.
No, life's too short for that.
I know, or like a toothbrush.
So what do people do then? Barkeeper's friend?
Barkeeper's friend, they soak it, or baking soda. And it's good to know. So Gemma doesn't wash hers, so that means I don't have to either.
I have to say though, as I've said this before, in a lot I've worked in a lot of kitchens and often in the baker section, not in the savory section, but in the baker's corner, we would reuse trays over and over again.
Yeah.
That had cookies, that had like, you know, something that were very lightly used. Right. They were very lightly used. We would just replace the paper and use the thing and use the tray again. Also, in my kitchen, I reuse paper. I don't always, I should stop talking.
No, I'm just laughing because I have a confession that I know you're going to.
Oh, no. No, I can't really judge you now because of other things I said.
We're talking about like, you know, cooling cakes, storing and whatever. And now I'm looking over in Gemma's kitchen and she has some Tupperware with some baked goods in there. And I'm just like.
What do you do?
I cannot believe I'm admitting this, but I will make, like I made brownies this week and I just, I leave the pan on the stove and I just eat out of the pan all week.
You don't cover it?
No.
You don't even cover it?
Well, I fell asleep. You know, it's crazy. I had tinfoil cut and put next to it, and then I fell asleep before I. So, yeah, but they last for like 2 days. I'll eat a whole tray in 2 days. That's probably gross.
I would cover it. I feel like that's very little work. Like putting in Tupperware is more work. I get that.
Yeah.
At least cover it, Gina.
On them. And then like with cookies, I'm like, I'll just leave them there, you know, and I'll go by the pan.
You don't put cookies in a tub?
Oh no, I never. Literally never. Not once.
that's a little bit gross.
I just like will walk by the kitchen, I'll grab one.
I mean, just for like organization. It's not really gross. Let me take that back. Just organizational.
It's
so
like
what does
chaotic.
the rest of your place look like?
Very clean. I'm very organized. Yeah.
But then why don't you put those things
It's
in
just
a
I don't really
Tupperware?
cook that much, but I bake. So like, there's always a good little treat in the kitchen. Lots of baking going on, not a lot of cooking. So I don't need the oven for much,
Okay.
So it just stores the baked goods. Anyways, that's my confession because now Gem and I have each made one. This next topic is honestly pretty jarring, and I'm going to be surprised, but also not surprised if you've heard of this. It's an article I saw on Bon Appetit. The title is, I added soy sauce to my brownies out of desperation. Now I'll never bake a batch without it. Look, Gemma's not even flinching. Have you heard of this?
No, I haven't heard of this.
Okay, so Hetty McKinnon's cookbook, To Asia with Love, she has a recipe for flourless soy sauce brownies. And basically, the saltiness from the soy sauce brings the chocolate out. It's like an umami flavor. This person was raving. I read like a whole article just about soy sauce and brownies. And then I was like, I have to try that. It kind of sounds good.
It wouldn't be for me. I get it. I get the
You
rationale
get the
behind
idea?
it. I do. I absolutely do. I would never in a million years think
You won't
to do
even
that.
try it?
I would try it because,
okay.
I mean, there's no harm in trying it.
Yeah.
I personally won't be doing that.
The author did say that you can't, it doesn't taste like soy sauce.
No, it tastes like
per se.
salt
It just tastes
and
like
flavor.
salt.
Yeah. I get that. I'm kind of funny with stuff like that. When people are, didn't we talk like 2 weeks ago or something about like putting chilies in your chocolate?
Yeah, we put chilies in brownies. That's what it was.
But it's
People are
just-
getting creative with brownies.
Like brownie was totally fine by itself. It doesn't need any of these like bells and whistles and chilies.
But I don't know. Soy sauce sounds kind of fun. I was really like...
I think that sounds good though, Gina. Like honestly good.
No. At first glance, I was like, this is disgusting. Because I'm picturing like sushi and then I'm getting like a sushi flavor in my mouth, because like soy sauce. And then I'm like sweet chocolatey. It's an odd combo. But then listening to this person explain it, I was like, okay, I'm kind of sold. I want to try it.
See, the thing about it is a little bit like what you just said.
Yeah.
It's like like wasabi. When do you have wasabi? When you have sushi?
Never.
You don't have wasabi? Oh my gosh, I love
It's
wasabi.
way too hot.
Oh my gosh, I love it. But
I understand what you're saying.
you associate that with sushi. So soy sauce is with like a lot of Asian food and like sushi and stuff. So I would, if my brain would, I'm just guessing would be like fish or like, sushi when I'm tasting those kinds of flavors, but it's in a brownie.
I agree with you, but now I'm like, let's try a wasabi brownie. What's stopping us? We've done chilies. We've done
know
soy
what?
sauce.
I actually think so.
No,
wasabi's a thing. Google that. The wasabi in baking is a
wasabi
thing.
Baking brownie.
Yeah, it is. No, I don't know about a brownie, but just.
But you can't say that you would try wasabi in baking, but you won't try soy sauce. Wasabi is an intense
I didn't say I would try it. No, I'm saying it's another example of it. I wouldn't try that either.
I don't see anything baking. Really? Wasabi baking brownies, maybe. Oh my gosh, wasabi and crystallized ginger dark chocolate brownies.
Yeah,
what?
told you.
The brownie, what? See? Panko crusted wasabi brownies. You guys, maybe you should do.
Panko crusted.
Yeah, that sounds odd. Look at the photo.
See, this is when you talk about TikTok stuff. This is what that should be.
Maybe you need to do a whole brownie bit where you just go through like the weirdest and try them. It'd be funny if you didn't tell Kevin that there's like a hot chili in one of them, and you're like, go try one of mine.
I'm just not on board with it. The other day...
it's an odd combo.
Yeah. The other day, somebody sent me an ice cream that was like a really bizarre flavor, and I just can't.
No. Creams and flavors? No. Well, I'm really interested to see how you feel about this next one, because apparently it's like a tested recipe. Mm-hmm. Mayonnaise cake.
I've heard of this.
Okay. So you've heard of this.
I get the...
It makes it softer. Mm-hmm. So basically the history behind it, it first appeared in 1927 in the Oakland Tribune. Then in the 40s, it became more popular during World War II when everything was like being rationed. People didn't have as much. But then 10 years later, Mrs. Frank Price, who married a salesman for Hellmann's, she wanted to like help raise sales. So she pitched the recipe. And everyone raved about it. I looked up all these recipes and people were saying the best things. Mm-hmm. Mayonnaise, to me, is the most disgusting food in someone's kitchen. I will not take that back. It's gross.
I love mayonnaise.
It is like no, creaminess just freaks me out. And the thought of having to like, ooh, like my brother was a big mayonnaise guy and I was mustard. So like sometimes our sandwiches for school would get mixed up and I would get the mayonnaise one and I just couldn't eat lunch. I was like, I can't eat this. Isn't it to you just like too like...
I have to say, no, I adore mayonnaise. What? Yeah. I love mayonnaise. I love remoulade sauce. I love tartar sauce. I love like mayonnaise. I love, you know, my favorite
tartar
part.
I can do.
I love
what?
When you get paella and you get homemade aioli on top. That's my favorite part of paella is the aioli.
The aioli on top, not the paella.
No, I love mayonnaise. But so I've heard of this cake. I haven't actually made it. But it all makes sense. It came, you know, like you said, around the war. And when eggs and oil were very expensive and rationed, mayonnaise was cheap. And when you think about it, and plentiful, so or like more available than those fresh ingredients like eggs. So it made
it's
perfect
so pungent to me that I can't even imagine it burning off in the oven, like the flavor. Don't you think
really?
It has a
strong flavor? It has a flavor, but I wouldn't think it's strong. But if you don't like it, I'm guessing.
But don't you
would
think
be
you
strong.
could taste it in the cake?
Yeah, probably. I'm guessing you would.
Is there any other crazy substitute you could use to make a cake soft? Like applesauce?
So applesauce, yeah.
Love applesauce.
Applesauce is a good replacement. So I haven't seen the original recipe for the mayonnaise cake. I haven't made that, but I'm guessing she doesn't use any eggs or any oil.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I think it was, let me see.
So you can replace eggs and oil with applesauce. You can place
it's literally mayonnaise. Oh God, I can't even look at it, you guys. It's like jarring. Mayonnaise cake. Let's see.
But you can replace those with applesauce. You can replace it with depending like it depends on what you're replacing. Is it moisture or is it like the binder? Oh my God, this is so you know, tofu works as eggs.
Yeah, no eggs.
Yeah.
Tofu?
Yeah, tofu.
Are you kidding?
It's an egg substitute.
In a cake? I would think the texture is a little wonky.
In a cake it works well. In other you couldn't use it in a cookie, but there's other egg substitutes. Like we have a whole chart. It's one of our most popular posts on the website. Let me see. Yogurt, sour cream is a good one for an egg substitute.
Sour cream, no. Same thing.
Do you not like sour cream?
Just cream. Like I can barely eat ice cream. It's like,
are you serious?
I like a good Jenny's vegan ice cream, you know?
Yeah.
But just the creaminess. Oh. All right, we had some fun hot from the oven topics today. I'm going to transition over to grain of salt, but I do have like one fun trivia question, and I'm interested to see if you can get it. Nope, you can't.
Okay, I can't see anyway.
The first one is just yes or no. Which we've already talked about this today. So the creaming method is the best method for high fat cakes.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Okay. So yes. This next one's fun. How many Hershey Kisses do you think are made in a day?
Oh, I'm like 5 million.
80 million.
Oh my
Isn't
gosh,
that
who's
insane?
eating all of those?
80 million Hershey Kisses. I mean, I eat a...
Do you eat those?
Have you ever had hot cocoa Hershey Kisses?
No.
Oh, they're gone for the season. Next season, I'm bringing you some. It is like, oh, I bet George would love them too. So they're little Hershey Kisses, and inside of them is like a marshmallowy, soft, gooey center.
Oh, I kind of like the sounds of that part, but not the...
You don't...
No,
yeah, you're not. You're not into candy. Yeah.
No, I grew up on Mars.
Oh, like a Mars bar.
Mars bars,
Yeah.
Snickers, Milky Ways. We don't have Hershey's. So this taste of Hershey's chocolate to me, because when we came here as kids to go on vacation, we would have the chocolate and we were like, what is this? It doesn't taste anything like our chocolate.
More sugary?
I just feel like the Hershey's has a distinct flavor.
Gemma's not a fan.
No, I just kind of think it tastes like cheese a little bit.
Cheese?
Yeah, I do.
Don't say that to me. I eat like a bag. I ate 2 Snickers on the way here also.
Oh, no, but Snickers
are
aren't
different.
Hershey.
No, they're
though.
not Hershey.
Yeah, but no. But I'm not saying that the chocolate I grew up on was fantastic, but it was just what I was used
different. So would you bake with like Godiva makes really good chocolate chip cookies?
I don't know if you bake with Godiva though. I don't know if that's a baking chocolate. Hershey's is also not a baking chocolate.
But your chocolate chip cookie. What's your chocolate chip of choice? Gemma probably makes them.
I use bittersweet chocolate. I buy a bar. So
oh my gosh,
Ghirardelli.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. Ghirardelli, not Godiva.
Yeah.
Ghirardelli.
And Ghirardelli makes baking
And
chocolate.
you cut it up and you make your own chunks.
Because then you get big bits and small bits.
Oh, God.
And also, if you do chocolate bar instead of chocolate chips, and I've got an article about this on the website, that you get those lovely big pools of chocolate and the bakery style cookies, where if you use
so
chips,
yummy.
they don't melt.
No. This last one is really funny, but I just wanted to see your opinion. So, you know how some people like raw eggs are a thing? Someone I saw online had asked, raw eggs will make you sick. It was like a yes or no online. And now I'm interested because some people eat them.
Yeah. Can I ask, where was this question asked?
I saw it in baking trivia and I was like, this is interesting.
So like that's a very, so if you had eggs that were sitting out of the fridge for 60 days.
Oh, okay.
That's going to make you sick.
Yeah. What if it's like past, like, because sometimes I'll have like a pack of eggs in the fridge and it's like a week past.
I'm not going to comment on that because it depends. So like, here's what you can do. Like that's, it's a very general question, a very statement.
Yeah.
Raw eggs will make you sick. That's absolutely not always the case. My recommendation is buy good quality eggs that were raised, like that were like well raised. And I'm not talking about just organic eggs, like just buy cage free, like maybe like hormone free eggs that had a good diet, vegetarian diet, and buy them fresh. Keep them in your fridge until you're ready. And then if you're going to bake with them, take them out in advance and let them get to room temperature or whatever. But like keep them in your fridge. Don't keep eggs putting them in and out of your fridge cold to hot. Just don't do that because that will make them go bad. And then just buy as good eggs as you can.
And also if you run out, we went over things today that you could replace it with.
Yeah.
Mayonnaise, tofu, applesauce.
It's just like, just that's all I can say to you.
So
and
be
then also,
smart about it.
Be smart about it.
Yeah.
And then also, there's telltale signs for when you can know an egg. If you crack open an egg and the yolk breaks straight away, you should probably throw out that egg.
Wow, I'm learning a lot from this.
Yeah, because it's old. The I don't know what it's called, but the kind of sack, this is not the right terminology, that the yolk is in, it's old and it's thin. Right. So if you crack open an egg and the yolk breaks straight away, don't use that egg. It's old and it shouldn't be eaten. If you crack open an egg and the white is really runny and watery and just kind of loose all over the plate, don't use that egg.
Okay. Wow, this was really informational.
Yeah, and if there's any smell of the, and that's even if there's not a smell and you see those things,
don't use it.
Don't use it. Just don't.
Okay, good to know. You know, the problem with me is I crack the eggs directly into the recipe bowl.
I have to say though, I am guilty of doing that.
Yeah, but then I've like scooped an egg out before, so it can be done. We're gonna round off this episode with 3 Ask Gemmas from you guys. Our first one is from Byron on YouTube. They would like to know.
That's Byron Chandler.
Oh. I love that. Okay, do you recommend white or dark chocolate for donut glazes?
Kind of depends on what type of donut.
Dark chocolate's my favorite. I'm just
that I was dark chocolate. Also, I'll tell you, Byron, white chocolate's trickier to work with. So I would say dark chocolate. And then also for glazes for donuts, I often make them with cocoa powder and sometimes with no chocolate. So you get this like kind of fudgy texture. Yeah. It's different, but it's really nice.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. Praise on YouTube also has a donut question. They are saying, I'm a new subscriber. Watch some of your donut videos. Is there a reason why you use warm milk when making your donuts?
Yeah. Yeast is a living thing. Can you hear George's little runner squeaking around the place? Yeast is a living thing, and
so
just like
us,
it needs. You don't like yeast?
No, I just keep thinking of your starter in the fridge.
Yeah,
Gemma has a sourdough like yeast ball in her fridge.
It's not. I can get it back. I can bring it back to life. But the thing, so it's a living thing, right? Same.
Yes.
Here, George's little runners. Here he comes,
squeaking around.
Yeah, these little runners that they're called aikikis, and they squeak every time he walks. So it's a living thing. So just like us, it needs to be fed. It needs warmth and it needs love. So you need to feed it sugar, like oxygen. It feeds off the natural yeast in the air. Then you you give it warmth when you're making it, so that the warm your milk, it gives the yeast a jump start to get like
so
prepared.
jarring, yeah.
And it helps it grow. And then you just love it. I love it. I mean, like, take care of it. Like, make sure it's in a nice warm spot. Put a towel over it.
Talk to it.
This is all normal stuff, Gina.
Just baking with Gemma.
Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this classic episode of Knead To Know. And remember, brand new episodes are coming your way this September, so get ready.